ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ
ਇੱਕ ਘੜੀ ਨਾ ਮਿਲਤੇ ਤਾ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਹੋਤਾ। ਹੁਣ ਕਦ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਪ੍ਰਿਆ ਤੁਧ ਭਗਵੰਤਾ। ਮੋਹਿ ਰੈਣ ਨਾ ਵਿਹਾਵੈ ਨੀਂਦ ਨਾ ਆਵੈ। ਬਿਨ ਦੇਖੇ ਗੁਰ ਦਰਬਾਰੇ ਜੀਓ। ਹਉ ਘੋਲੀ ਜਿਉ ਘੋਲ ਘੁਮਾਈ ਤਿਸ ਸੱਚੇ ਗੁਰ ਦਰਬਾਰੇ ਜੀਓ। ਮੋਹਿ ਰੈਣ ਨਾ ਵਿਹਾਵੈ ਨੀਂਦ ਨਾ ਆਵੈ। ਬਿਨ ਦੇਖੇ ਗੁਰ ਦਰਬਾਰੇ ਜੀਓ। ਹਉ ਘੋਲੇ ਜਿਉ ਘੋਲ ਘੁਮਾਈ ਤਿਸ ਸੱਚੇ ਗੁਰ ਦਰਬਾਰੇ ਜੀਓ। ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਗੋਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠੀ ਹੋਈ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀਓ। ਆਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਤਿਗੁਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਸ ਨਵਾ ਕੇ ਗੱਜ ਵੱਜ ਕੇ ਆਖੋ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। In the second letter, Guru Arjan Dev Ji saying how Koli, we did the arth of this a few weeks ago. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is saying, I am a sacrifice to you, O Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah. And they're saying how Koli, how Kol, Kumai, I'm a sacrifice to you, O Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah, Gur Sajjan, that you are my Guru. That O Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah, you are my Guru and you are my Sajjan, you are my companion. Gur Sajjan Meet, you are my friend, O Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah. Murare Jio. Murare, this word Murare, it has many translations. But if we go through just a couple of the translations, what Murare means, they're describing Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah in different ways. If you think now to ourselves, when we're deeply in love with somebody, Gursikh Pyareo, we won't only refer to them in one way. We'll go through many words. If you take a mother and a mother's relationship with her child, when that child is very young, that mother goes through many names, even though that might not be that child's particular name. And Gursikh Pyareo, and that mother doesn't stop, and she calls him by one name, another name, and then another name, and then another name. And over here, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is doing the same thing. You know, when you don't feel that you can say enough, but you just want to keep saying more and more. So that's why Guru Arjan Dev Ji first, they say to Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah, you are my Guru. Gur Sajjan, you are my companion, Meet, that you are my Mitra, you are my friend. But they don't stop there, Gursikh Pyareo. Then they say, Murare Jio. Murare, the word Murare means Wahiguru, God. They're saying, for me, O Guru Ramdas Ji Paatshah, you are Wahiguru Ji for me. This word Murare, where does it come from? It's got many translations, and one beautiful translation it's got. The first part of the word meaning more, meaning hankar, coming from ego. Ar meaning enemy. Wahiguru Ji is that. He is the enemy of ego. As you start coming close to him, he will start destroying your ego. He won't let it stay with you. Murare. That Wahiguru Ji that destroys your ego. He is the enemy of ego. Gursikh Pyareo, another translation for Murare, because this word will come in Gurbani and it will be referring to Krishna Ji. Because Mur was the name of a demon, of a dant. And then Are and Krishna ji became the enemy of that dant, of that demon. So Krishna ji was the destroyer of that particular demon. And that's why it's referred also, Murari is referring to Krishna ji in Bani in other places. But over here, it's referring to Vaheguru ji. Guru Ramdas ji Pacha is that Vaheguru ji form for us, that Mur, the demons inside of us. If we go close to him, because he's the enemy of all demons, he'll start getting rid of the demons inside of us too, when we start going close to Guru Ramdas ji Pacha. So over here, Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha finish off this letter, and in their end, writing, O Guru Ramdas ji Pacha, you are Vaheguru ji, the form of God for me. And then they again passed this, put this letter in the hands of that same messenger that went to Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha ji the last time in Amritsar. And Guru Sikh Pir, the same thing happens again. The messenger reaches Amritsar, but again, who does he meet first? He meets Prithi Chand, the older brother of Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha. And straight away Prithi Chand knew. He came with a letter last time, and my brother Arjan, he must have sent another one, thinking that why hasn't father replied? So I better get in there first and get it off him. Again, the same thing happens. He takes the letter and he says, you don't need to worry, I'll take it, father, I'll take it to Guru Ramdas ji Pacha. He puts that letter in the same place again. You know, whether he had different kurte on, whether he had different clothes on, but there was that one particular waistcoat that was his favorite. And he'd put that same letter, that second letter in that same waistcoat again. The messenger comes back, goes back to Lahore, and Guru Sikh Pyareo and Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha again, the second time starts to wait for a reply. Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha, in that second letter, like we went through, they went through how beautiful Guru Ramdas ji Pacha ji's chehra, their face. How beautiful those words are. What those words did to Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha, and now they await. Guru Sikh Pyareo, but as time started to pass, Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha, before now writing the third letter, they called that same messenger over. And they said, what have you been doing with that letter? Have you physically seen with your eyes the letters I've been writing? Have you physically seen them going to Guru Ramdas ji Pacha? Have you been putting them in their charan? And he said, no. He said, every time I've gone, the two times I've been, I always meet Prithi Chand before I get to Guru Ramdas ji Pacha. And your brother's been taking the letters from me. And Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha, you know what they do this time? They write the number 3 on this letter. The first 2 letters, they're not numbered, they write the number 3 on this letter. And they said, this time, no matter what happens, no matter what Prithi Chand says to you, you make sure that this letter you put in the charan of Guru Ramdas ji Pacha yourself. And Guru Sikh Pyareo, just like we went through, first when somebody's in pain and suffering, they ease that pain by starting to think of that person. But now, even then, that isn't enough. As time starts to pass, that pain that you experienced first starts to come back, but now it's intensified even more. Now it starts to become unbearable when you can't even bear that pain anymore. So now, Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha start to write again. But this time Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha, and they're saying, oh Guru Ramdas ji Pacha, saying, ek ghari na milte, ta kaljug hota. Guru Sikh Pyareo, this is amazing, because if we think about this, they're saying ek ghari, even one moment. This is when I don't see you even for one moment, ta. This is then kaljug hota. What is kaljug? Kaljug, if you look at the word jug, comes from the word yug. Yug meaning era. Kal meaning the era of darkness, the era of ignorance, when dharma is at its lowest. Even though Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha know that the sama now, the era now that is passing, it is the sama of kaljug. But they are saying, they are emphasizing, ek ghari na milte, ta kaljug hota. They're saying, if I don't see you, O Guru Ramdas ji Pacha, then it is kaljug. Then it is that time, then it is the era of darkness. Guru Sikh Pyareo, And I'm not implying that these eras don't physically exist, that the era of Satyug didn't exist, the era of Dwapar didn't exist, the era of Treta didn't exist. But what is Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha saying here? They're saying, for me, they said, when I'm with you, every moment that I'm with you, I'm in Satyug, I'm in that moment of truth. There is no illusion in my life. Nothing can take over me. They're saying, but even if that one moment, this is then Kal, then the era of darkness starts to take over me, ignorance starts to take over me. Gursikh Pere, what does this mean? Because Guru Arjan Dev Ji now has given us a completely different look on this word Kaljug. They've taken it away from thinking that Satyug Yug was then. Like I said, I'm not saying that it didn't exist and it within the time era as well. But they're saying, bring these eras into your life now. What does it mean that it's Kaljug when we start to forget, when we don't think of our Guru even for one moment? There was a family, Gursikh Pere, to try and understand this a little bit better. A family with a little child. And just before I go into this Sakhi, Gursikh Pere, remember one thing, I say this all the time. Sometimes we listen to Sakhi and sometimes we listen to stories. And we think, I've heard this Sakhi so many times. I've heard this story so many times. Why again? Why do I have to keep hearing it again and again? Gursikh Pere, why do we have to keep reading Japji Sahib again and again? Because if we think of the Sakhi, if we think of the Sikhya within the Sakhi, if we think of the teaching, the significance that we're going to take from this Sakhi, have we become that Sakhi? What does it mean to become the Sakhi? The teaching that we're supposed to take from it. If we've not become the Sakhi yet, then it means we haven't truly heard the Sakhi yet. Then we need to keep hearing it again and again and again. People say, I've heard this before. But Gursikh Pere, when you look at their life is still standing where it was standing a year ago. So then have we really heard it? Or do we really need to hear it again? So we can truly then take it home this time. A family comes into the charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha. They've got a small child with them. They left their work behind because this is how people would do things back then. They'd have a business, but for a short time they'd close that business, then they'd come and spend time in the Guru's charan. They came and started to spend time in Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha's charan. And this little child, he was crawling when he came to the charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha, but slowly he's getting to that part when from crawling he starts to walk. From walking he starts to say little words. And from little words he starts to put sentences together. As they say about a child, he's got a very beautiful totally avaz, meaning a very sweet, innocent voice and words, the way he displays the words. He's playing around in front of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha. Ek ghari na milte ta kaljug hota. Then is the era of darkness, of ignorance within us. And one day Guru Gobind Singh Ji says to this child, he says, oh child, oh bachche, this is idra, this is come over here. Guru Gobind Singh Ji कहने लगे, कहंदे बच्चे कहंदे आप जी दा कहंदे नाम की है. He said, oh child, what is your name? And this child says with a very sweet voice, puts his hand together. And he says, my name, कहंदे मेरा नाम कहंदे जोगा. एक घड़ी ना मिलते ता कलयुग होता. कहने लगा कहंदे मेरा नाम जोगा. My name is Joga. Guru Gobind Singh Ji सहज सुभाए कहने लगे. Guru Gobind Singh Ji कहने लगे कहंदे केदे जोगा. कहंदे your name is Joga. कहंदे केदे जोगा. Joga meaning who are you worth? Whose are you? Who do you belong to? And this innocent child says in return, कहंदे hey Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha, कहंदे मैं आप जी दा जोगा. कहंदे I am worth only you. I belong to no one else, but I only belong to you. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha smiled and looked at this child. कहंदे अच्छा, कहंदे कह ता दिता, कहंदे हुन साडे कोल एक जुम्मेवारी तू दे दिती. कहंदे you've said that you are worth only me. कहंदे now you've just handed me a great responsibility. Gursikh Pyareo, why don't you give that responsibility to that same Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha that sits here today? When Bhai Nandalal Ji asked The Sikhs came together and asked Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਓ Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you are leaving us. If we want to come and see you, if we want to come and talk to you, who will we come and talk to? And then Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋ ਮੁਝ ਬਚਨ ਸੁਣਨ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ if anyone has that yearning to speak to me, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah said, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋ ਮੁਝ ਬਚਨ ਸੁਣਨ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸੁਣੋ ਚਿਤ ਲਾਏ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ come and contemplate on the word of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਰੂਪ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਜੀ ਜਾਣੋ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you want to know what is one of my forms? They said I have 3 forms, but they said my second form, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਰੂਪ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਜੀ ਜਾਣੋ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ know my second form to be Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah is saying, Khair Gursikh Pyare coming back. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਅੱਜ ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੌਂਪ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you've given me such a great responsibility today. Like I said, we can do that now as well. People say today, this is I won't be able to keep my wrath. And Gursikh Pyare, have we no faith in the Guru? Give Guruji that responsibility. Say to Guru Sahib, yes, I've lost, I've got no strength. Hey Garib Nawaz Sache Paatshah, Bal Shutkeo, Bandhan Pare, Bal Shutkeo, Bal meaning strength, I've lost my strength, O Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah. Bal Shutkeo, Bandhan Pare, Kachu na hote upaye. Bandhan Pare, O Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah, I admit I'm trapped. Bandhan. Bandhan meaning when I'm trapped. How do you become the Gurus? How do we let the Guru take our responsibility? If we say that I can't do this, that's why I can't become the Gurus. No, it's the other way around. Instead we're saying, Bal Shutkyo, yes Guru Sahib, I can't do this. I have no strength. The chor are taking over me. I can't control my desires. I can't control this greed that is going crazy inside of me. Bal Shutkyo, Bandhan Pare, Kachu na hote upaye. I can't do anything. But kaho Nanak, ab ot har. O Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah, kaho Nanak, ab ot har. But now I'm taking your oath, I'm taking your support. And this is exactly what Joga did at this point, this child. They said, I leave myself to you, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah. Why don't you leave yourself to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah today? Some of you may have been coming to these kathas for 2 years. Some of you for 1 month, for 2 months. But Gursikh Pyareo, this game is way above just coming here and collecting knowledge. This game is way above just coming here and saying, now I know the arth of this bani, this bani, this bani, this bani. This path is about Satgur Age Sees Pet Deo. Je Satgur Sache Pave. That this path is about coming here and saying, Guru Sahib, मैं आज मत्था टेके पर आज मैं मेरी इथों मत चक के नहीं लेके जानी. I've done matha take here today, but I'm not going to take my head away from you today. I admit I've lost, but I know you would help. You're the only strength that can truly give and hold me up in my life. And this is what Joga, this child, did today. He says, Guru Sahib Ji, main aap ji de joga. I leave everything to you, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah. This child grows up in the charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah. He learns how to ride horses. He learns how to wield the sword. He learns how to read Gurbani. He learns how to do seva. Gursikh Pyaro, this child is growing up. But that time came for his parents to go back and return to their business. They've come from a place which today is in Pakistan, in Peshawar. They have to leave and go back. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah they said, why don't you leave this child here? He can learn much more yet. And their parents, finding it very difficult, but they know, if Guru Sahib Ji is saying, only good can come through this. Gursikh Pyare, they leave their child there. They go back home. He's doing so much seva in the Guru's charan. He can't live without Guru Sahib Ji's darshan. He wants to see Guru Sahib every moment that he gets a chance to see Guru Gobind Singh Ji Padshah. But that moment comes, he grows tall. He grows to be handsome. And a letter comes from his home. A letter comes from his home, his parents saying to Guru Sahib, "Oh Guru Gobind Singh Ji Padshah, will you give our son some leave for some time to come back home to get married? Ek ghari na milte ta kaljug hota." If I don't see you for one moment, then that time of darkness, that era of darkness takes over me. Guru Sikh Pyaro, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Padshah read out this letter. Read out this letter to Joga. And Guru Sahib Ji kehn lage, who has now become Joga Singh. Kehndे Joga Singh, kehndé ek gall sun, kehndé listen to one thing. Kehndé assi jadon vi tenu awaaz marange na, kehndé as soon as that moment comes and I call for you, they don't think of a thing. Just drop everything and come straight to the Guru. Guru Sikh Pyaro, Bhai Joga doesn't want to leave the charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, but also he's excited to go and see his family. He gets onto his horse and he rides. It's a long distance. He comes to his hometown. Guru Sikh Pyaro, all the wedding is arranged, everyone's excited to see him. They've not seen him as a child. And that day comes of his marriage. Guru Sikh Pyaro, galla karniyan badiyan saukhiyan ne. Gallahan kare kaneriyan. There's many people that can sit here and talk. But Guru Sikh Pyaro, to actually go and do what the Guru wants from us is a different story. The day of his marriage arrives, Guru Sikh Pyaro. He sat down with his wife to be, and the beautiful Bani of Guru Ramdas Ji Padshah started to be read. Har pehladi la pravirti karam dirdaya Balram jiyo, Bani Brahma Ved Dharm dirdho pap tajaya Balram jiyo. Guru Ramdas Ji Padshah Ji's Bani is being read. The Kirtaniyas start to sing this in Kirtan Roop. As the Kirtaniyas singing this by Joga and his wife gets up and they start to walk around Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah Ji Maharaj. Many people have these questions today. And they say in the house of Guru Nanak Padshah, they say we talk about equality. This is just going off the subject for one moment. They say we talk about equality in the house of Guru Nanak. And they say, but then still why? Why is it the man that walks in front? People ask these questions. They say, doesn't it make sense then for the husband and wife to walk beside each other? Why shouldn't they take turns? For the man to be next to Guru Sahib Ji first and the woman to be beside him instead of behind each other? People ask these type of questions. Guru Sikh Pyaro, let's look at this a little bit deeper though. Remember that we are saying, O Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah Ji Maharaj, O the King of Kings, O Rajan Raj, Panan Pan, O the Son of Sons, O the King of Kings, O Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah Ji Maharaj, that we walk in this manner. The reason for that is why? Because if one was beside Maharaj and then the other person was on the other side of Maharaj, then one person would be closer to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah and one person would be away from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah Maharaj. There'd be a different distance from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah Maharaj. But in this way, if one is in front and one is behind, then both of them are the same distance from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah Ji Maharaj, the same distance. Because what we are saying, O Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah, you are the center of our lives. Our lives will revolve around you. We will take everything from you. We will both remain the same distance from you, O Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah. I won't be walking another path and my partner walking another path. We will be both the same distance from you, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah. Khair coming back. By Joga Ji, they go round and they have their second love. They're going round second time to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. The second lam is being read. Antar bahar har prabh eko mil har jan mangal gaye. Antar bahar har prabh eko. This is one thing we all need to remember in our lives. Antar, he sits inside of us. Bahar har prabh eko. But that ek Akal Purkh, he's everywhere. He's inside and he's outside. Antar bahar, har parab eko. Mil har jan mangal gaye. But when you come together with the jan of those servants that are imbued in love with Waheguru Ji, that's where you realize this. Har jan mangal gaye. Mangal. Mangal means when you sing the songs of joy. When you're marrying Waheguru Ji. But when Bhai Joga comes and sits from his second round, second love, a messenger comes and puts this letter in Bhai Joga Ji's laps. Bhai Joga Ji reads this letter, and what is it said? Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paat is saying, whatever you are doing, drop whatever you are doing and come straight to me. Gursikh Pyareo, if we've come to the Guru's Charan today, can we not hear the Guru say the same words to us today? We need the ears of Bhavna. We need the ears of faith and love. The Guru is sending a message to us every day. When we come and sit in front of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paat today, they are giving us a message and they're saying, oh Gursikh Pyareo, they're saying, Guru is saying, drop everything. What does it mean to drop everything? Drop all that life that you think is bringing you happiness. Drop that life what is taking you away from the Guru. Drop that life where you are trying to design yourself to fit in with the world. They said to Bhai Joga, they said, drop whatever you are doing. And over there, they meant physically. And he dropped whatever he was doing, and that was his marriage. How hard must it have been? Ek koi saukhi khed nahi. Before we look at what Bhai Joga Ji did later on and think about what he did at this moment, he got up from his lama. And today, the Guru is saying, just drop everything, trust me. If you truly want happiness. If you think that bottle of Bacardi is going to truly bring you a buzz, trust the Guru. Jeh ras, bisar gaye, ras aur, try the ras of Naam, and all the other pleasures of the world will be dropped in a moment. The Guru is saying that to us today as well. They're saying, drop these things. All it is, we need the ears to be able to hear it. We don't come here only to be plastered. Our egos are big enough as it is. And sometimes what we do, pracharak sit here and they start to put butter and they start to grow on people's egos. And we shy away from telling the true message of the Guru. People have become afraid to even sit on the stage and talk about case. When the case is the stamp in the Guru's house. When the case even comes before our breath. Sikhi kesa swasa nal nibahi. That the Guru Sikh said, that my Sikhi, how is my Sikhi upheld? Is through my case. I'll give up my breath but not my case. Sikhi kesa swasa nal nibahi. That it means that I don't care, Guru Sahib, whether I have another breath, but I'll never go away from my Sikhi, and the first step through my Sikhi is my case. Khair Gursikh Pyareo, Bhai Joga gets up. His parents try to hold on to him. They hold on to his legs and they said, don't go, son. What will come? What will happen to your wife? And Gursikh Pyareo, many people are trying to drag us down as well from walking the truth. And people will say, your business can't survive without telling lies. You have to lie to run a business in today's age. People are dragging us down as well. Bhai Joga didn't care. He ran. He got on top of his horse straight away. He's riding through Peshawar. He comes through the town. He goes through Lahore. From Lahore, he goes to Amritsar. He goes and bathes in Amritsar, in that beautiful pool. In that sarovar, he does his shanaan. He bows down towards Harmandir Sahib Gursikh Pyareo, and then he continues to ride. And as he's riding, he comes through a city called Hoshiarpur. But Gursikh Pyareo, ek ghari na milte, ta kaljug hota. If I don't see you for one moment, seeing you, meaning if I don't think of you for one moment, O Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, if I come away from your teaching even for one moment, what happens? Bhai Joga Gursikh Pyareo, inside of him, he's got that sense of pride. But hun Guru Sahib ne parcha paya bahut vadda. You know, as you increase in these steps, as you're growing and you're getting closer to the Guru's tests will grow and they'll get bigger and they'll get greater. this path will get sharper and sharper. Why? Not because the Guru's against us, because he's trying to carve us to make us perfect. Pannan, Karan, Samrat hai. What does the Guru do? He breaks us down. Pannan, Karan, then he carves us. He's trying to carve Bhai Joga to make him perfect. Bhai Joga has this one thought, that how great am I? Who else is able to do that? Get up from their marriage and walk away. Gursikh Pyaro, that happens to us as well. We walk on the path of Sikhi and we start looking inside and we think, look how great I am, and look at them. They're still there. And we start looking down at people. But no, Gursikh Pyaro, have compassion for people. Don't look down at people. Embrace them. And Bhai Joga is going through this town of Hoshiarpur today, and what happens? His horse starts to go through that part of Hoshiarpur, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵੇਸਵਾ ਦਾ ਬਾਜ਼ਾਰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, which is called the area, that little town, the town of prostitutes. His horse starts to ride through that direction today. And Gursikh Pyaro, he puts his eyes out, and what does he see? He sees a prostitute in her window. And she catches Bhai Joga's eye. Ek ghadi na milte. Just for one moment, if you come away from the Guru, what happens? Just for one moment, he looks into her eyes. And Gursikh Pyaro, eh maya mohani. Jin et param pulaya, eh maya mohani. You know this illusion? It's very enticing. It makes you look. She dresses up so beautifully, this Maya does. And it entices us. It's like that fire, the beautiful colors. We're enticed towards going through that. That child looks at that fire and it starts walking towards that fire. And that mother starts to shout and says, Bacche na jain. That mother saying, no, don't go that direction. The child saying, what a fool. Why would my mother want me to not touch these beautiful colors? Not knowing, eh Maya, mohani, it's enticing you. It's going to kill you. Jin et param pulaya. It's sending you in this illusion. It's making you doubt the truth. And then that child goes and touches those beautiful colors, that blue, that orange. And what happens? The child screams. But then when you turn around, the mother's still there. The mother doesn't say, well, go away now. You didn't listen to me. The mother still embraces that child and then bandages that burnt hand. Gursikh Pyaro, even if we get burnt, Guru Gobind Singh Ji is not going to say to us, go away. He's still going to be standing there with his arms open. He's going to be standing there saying, oh my child, pichle augan bakshale. I've forgiven your past sins. But on one condition, prabh aage marg pave, but now walk ahead. Don't keep falling back in that same mistake. Bhai Joga, his eyes meet this woman. She smiles at him, and with her hand she starts to call him over. Bhai Joga forgets about the letter Guru Sahib Ji sent him. Gursikh Pyaro, ek ghadi na milte. He didn't think about Guru Gobind Singh Ji for one moment, and look what happens. He goes and puts his horse on one side, and he starts to walk over to this house of this prostitute. And Gursikh Pyaro, you remember that time as a child? Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, they said, tu kede joga? And people say, what's the point? What's the difference in whether I've taken Amrit or not? Gursikh Pyaro, if you give yourself to the Guru, then aapa Guru de joge ho jane ha. And then we belong to the Guru school, and then wearing the Guru's tie. You know, if you belong to a particular school, and if the teachers of that school see that this child, why isn't this child at school today? And they'll say, he's wearing the tie of this school. And then that teacher will go over and they say, why aren't you at school today? You're going to ruin the reputation of our school. And they'll take that child back in. And Gursikh Pyaro, and that day, just like Bhai Joga, remember that day? Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, tu kede joga? Guru Gobind Singh Ji, no aakhan laga joga, kende main aap ji de joga. I am with only you. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah didn't forget. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji didn't forget. Bhai Joga is walking over to the house of this prostitute today. But Gursikh Pyareo, today, who's standing in front? Nobody was there first when Bhai Joga saw, but now when he's walking over to this house, there's somebody with red eyes. There's somebody with a huge stick, looking straight at Bhai Joga, standing there stern. And Bhai Joga starts to get afraid. Bhai Joga's walking over. He starts looking down. He looks through his chola, he looks underneath his chola, and what does he see? He sees a kashara. He looks towards his arms and he sees a kara. And he remembers, what will people say if they see this bana, if they see this form going towards this house? He turns back. He turns back to get towards his horse, but Gursikh Pyareo, ek ghadi na milte, ta kaljug hota. But Gursikh Pyareo, but now it's too enticing for him. He's looked at his bana, but he still doesn't remember the message Guru Sahib sent him, because ek ghadi na milte. He's taken a moment away from the Guru. And then he says, well, what I'll do is I'll wait. He waits and he waits. Many hours pass. And he goes again. And that same man still stands there stern with his stick in his hand. Bhai Joga now waits. But now, this time when he waits, that beautiful time of when Guru Nanak Pacha said, when we asked the question to Guru Nanak Pacha, oh Guru Nanak Pacha, what is it that I can give to Akal Purkh Waheguru? Phir ke agge rakhiye, jit dise darbar, moho ke bolan boliye, jit sun tare pyar. ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇਣਗੇ, ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲਾ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਉ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਵਿਚਾਰ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੈ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤੂੰ ਉਸ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਦੇ। ਮਿੱਠੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੀ ਆ? What is that thing that is most sweet to us? Because when that time in the morning comes, that sleep is never so sweet before. It wasn't even as sweet as that when you first got into bed. But how sweet that sleep is when you're trying to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. How sweet is that sleep when you're trying to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Gursikh Pyareo, Guru Nanak Pacha ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਦੇ ਉਸ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਨੂੰ. Give that most precious sweet thing of your life to Waheguru Ji. And that moment is approaching. Amrit Vela, Sach no. And now when Bhai Joga goes to approach the house of this prostitute, Gursikh Pyareo, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah de bachan ne, in our Rahatname, what does it say in our Rahatname? Par istri se neh lagave. If you fall for a parai istri, for another woman that isn't your own wife, or meaning when you're not married, if you fall for any other woman out there, par istri se neh lagave, Gobind Singh ve sikh na bhave. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah kehande oh sikh menu nahi paunda. Kehande that sikh isn't pleasing to me. Kehande par beti ko beti jaane. Kehande know another daughter to be like your own daughter. Par beti ko beti jaane. Par istri ko maat bakhane. When you see another woman in front of you that is older than you, call her your mother. Par istri ko maat bakhane. Bakhane means to say, when you see that woman, call her Ma. Dekh paraiyan changiyan, maawa bhena dhiyan jaane. Dekh paraiyan. When you see other women, dekh paraiyan changiyan, see them with a good eye. Maawa bhena, see them as your mothers. What does that mean? When you see a woman that is older than you, ek ghadi na milte ta kaljug ho. When does this happen? When is it when these eyes are led to a beauty of another? When ek ghadi na milte, when you don't see Waheguru Ji, when you don't think of your Guru even for one moment, this is when this happens. Ek ghadi na milte ta kaljug hota, then that darkness will enter. That era of ignorance will come over our life. Maawa, bhena, dhiyan jaane. What does it mean, jaane? To know them to be like your own mother. Because this game is so hard. Gursikh Pyareo, it means when you see a woman in front of you, and vice versa for women. Jaane, to know them to be like your own mother. Because this game is so hard, Bhai Gurdas Ji is giving us a secret, a trick. They're saying when you see that woman's face, imagine your mum's face. Gursikh Pyareo, imagine your mum's face. And what happens when you see your mum's face? There is only one place that these hands go. When you see another woman to be your mother, where do these hands go? Your hands go to her feet, Gursikh Pyareo. ਇਹ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੱਥ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ. And when you see someone to be younger than you, someone that is the age of your daughter, par beti ko beti jane, then there is only one place these hands go when you see someone to be like your daughter, Gursikh Pyareo. Where do these hands go? These hands go above her head. And what comes out of this mouth is, hey putri, oh my daughter. These hands, when it's someone older, goes to her feet and says, oh my mother. Gursikh Pyareo, ਇਹ ਹੈ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਮਾਰਗ. This is the path. This is the Guru's path. ਏਕਾ ਨਾਰੀ ਜਤੀ ਹੋਏ ਪਰ ਨਾਰੀ ਧੀ ਭੈਣ ਵਖਾਣੇ. But today, that Amrit Vela time has now come. Ek ਘੜੀ ਨਾ ਮਿਲਤੇ ਤਾਂ kaljug hota. Pai Joga is going towards this door. And to now this paredar who has become the doorkeeper of this house, he can't see the prostitute there anymore. And what does this paredar do? He puts his stick forward. He goes, koi sharm kar. Sarm dharm ka dera dur. Gursikh Pyareo, ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ਰਮ ਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਡੇਰਾ ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਕੋਲ, ਸ਼ਰਮ means shame. This is what happens when shame goes away from our life. Sharam, dharam, ka dera dur. When we've got no sharam, when we've got no shame, we've got no dharam. There is no such thing as righteousness in our life. We've got to have shame first, and then dharam will follow. But today the shame has gone out of Bhai Joga's life. Why? Because ek kadi na milte. But this paradar today, he puts his stick forward. He goes, look at yourself. He goes, apna roop da vek. He goes, look at the crown that you are wearing upon your head. He says, look at the kada that you're wearing on your hands. Look at the kashera that you wear on your legs. He goes, koi sharm nahi aayi? He goes, tera sama. He goes, it's not time for you to be walking into the house of a prostitute. He goes, it's your time to sit there and read the pavan pavitra bani of Guru Nanak Patsha. He goes, Amrit Vele da sama aa gaya, tu guru jap hun. It's time for you to connect with the Akal Purkh from where you have come from. Sit there and say, Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Tum Vaheguru, Vaheguru jap ke, then start to sing the words of Guru Nanak Patsha. Start to connect to the words of Guru Nanak Patsha. Munda Santok, Saram, Pat Choli, teri sharm kithe gayi. Then Guru Nanak Patsha would have told you that. Asank Murak and the Kor. Guru Nanak Patsha would have said to you, that are you falling into that category, Asank Murak? Have you become one of them fools that I'm counting as a fool amongst those many? Asank Murak and the Kor. Have you gone blind? And the Kor. Have you been taken over by this deep blindness? This is what Gurbani should be for us in the morning. Gurbani should be a conversation. Gurbani should be a life for us in the morning. When we sit there, we should feel Guru Nanak Patsha saying to us, we should be feeling each word hitting us, striking us like an arrow. We should be contemplating, thinking, do I fall into any of these categories of being a fool? Hun Bhai Joge nu jaag aa gayi. Even though he looked awake from the outside before, but he was asleep from inside. And now he wakes up. And now he's shaking. Because he's thought about Guru Gobind Singh Ji again. Because when you come in front of the truth, Gursikh Pyareo, Guru Gobind Singh Ji kehande teesar roop sikh hai more. Gurbani rat jeh nispoor. Kehande my third form is those Gursikhs that are imbued in Guru's word. And Gursikh Pyareo, when you come in front of a Gursikh like that, your sins inside start to tremble. And now, Bhai Joga starts to think of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. He starts to tremble. He starts to cry and getting onto his horse. He starts to ride towards Guru Gobind Singh Ji Patsha Ji's Darbar. He gets close by. He goes and has an ishnan. He keeps crying. He runs over towards Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha is sitting there with their head low. Bhai Joga Ji, they come and sit right in front of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha after doing Matha Tek. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji look up and open their eyes, and Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji's eyes are red. Bhai Joga Ji continues crying. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji with a very, very quiet voice, not like the usual self, they say, Jogya, they say, Raat kithe si? They said, where was you last night? And Bhai Joga, he bursts out crying even louder. He says, Maharaj, why do you ask? Kaat kaat ke antar ki janat. That knows each and every heart's secrets. Why do you want me to say it with this mouth? Guru Gobind Singh Ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਿਆ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਜੋਗਾ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I said to you in return ਕਿ ਜੋਗਿਆ ਜੇ ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਜੋਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਜੋਗਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ didn't I say to you Jogya that if you are only worth me then I am only worth you. Gursikh Pyareo, if we become the gurus, then the guru will come into the gutter to take us out. The guru will come into the chikkar, he will come into the mud and drag us out. Ek ghadi na milte ta kaljug hota. But Gursikh Pyare, on the other hand, on the other side, who are those Gursikh Pyare that never forget Waheguruji within their heart? Not even for a moment. There's a Pyara Sikh called Sant Ram, and finishing off on this note. There's a Pyara Sikh called Sant Ram. He did Sangat, he did Seva in the Pavan Pavitra Charan of Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha. Our history writes, he was a lover of Sukhmani Sahib Bani. In the time of Jahangir, when Jahangir ruled, he worked in the court of Jahangir. He was a guard in the court of Jahangir. Gursikh Pyareo, this beautiful Gursikh, his face was radiant. Why? Because he read the Bani of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And one day, Jahangir's daughter spots Sant Ram. She's taken away with his beauty. She's taken away with his innocence. She goes running to her mum. She says, hey Amma. She says, oh my mother. She says, if I'm to marry anyone, then I'm to marry that Sikh god. And she says, oh daughter, don't be silly. You can't marry a Sikh. She goes, mother, then I won't marry at all. And she says, okay, let's go and talk to father. They go and talk to Jahangir. Who are those that never forget Waheguru? Not even for a moment. They go to Jahangir. She's very afraid and she says, your daughter has fallen for a Sikh, your god. And he says, that's not a problem. Everyone wants this position and marry my daughter. I will give him an area. He can become a governor of an area. He'll become a Muslim. That's not a problem. Within a week, they'll be married. He'll become a governor. He'll be loaded. He'll have plenty of money. And guess what happens? They don't tell this to Sant Ram. They start organizing the wedding thinking, who's going to refuse such an offer? But you know how women talk? The Begum, Jahangir's wife, she goes and tells a friend. A friend is married to the other guardsman that works with Sant Ram. The word gets back. So now the other guardsman saying congratulations to Sant Ram. He says, you're getting to do what everybody would love to do. You're going to become a governor. All you have to do is become a Muslim. And you're going to get married to such a beautiful woman. And he said, what wedding? What woman? He tells him the whole story. And what does Sant Ram do? He leaves his job and he starts to run. He ran for miles and miles and miles. He'd run in the day and he'd rest at night. He got into the outskirts, into jungles. But Gursikh Pyareo, Jahangir finds out and he sends his messengers, he sends his servants, he goes, go and find him. If he agrees to marry my daughter, then bring him back in a palki. You carry him on your shoulders. If he doesn't agree, then take his head from his body, leave his body and bring his head back to me. Gursikh Pyareo, as they come across Sant Ram, they said that Jahangir has said, either you agree to this marriage and you go back like a king. If you don't agree, then we'll take your head off. And he said, oh my God, I was getting worried. He said, when you said, if I don't agree, I thought, what are you going to say? What will I have to do? He said, is that all? He said, is that all I need to do? Is that take this head off this body that isn't real anyway? He said, one day it's going to drop. Why should I turn away from Guru Arjan Dev Ji Padshah? He said, this body is going to go anyway one day. I've given this body to Guru Arjan Dev Ji. He said, I got so worried you're going to say to me that I'm going to have to do such a big thing. He said, you want this head? Take it. It's not mine anyway. I've given it to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Padshah. Gursikh Pyareo, they take his head off. They throw his body into a river. They bring his head back on a plate into the court of Jahangir. Jahangir called his daughter into the court. And he said, look at this. You wanted to marry this Sikh? This kafir that won't give up his religion, his dharam? He won't give up Guru Arjan Dev Ji? You know what she does? She was deeply in love with Sant Ram. Her father's talking and she goes over. She goes over to stroke the face of Sant Ram. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji Padshah Ji writes, Sava Glist, Sir Utheo. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Padshah Ji saying, Tau na kabuli nar. Guru Gobind Singh Ji कहने लगे, कहते she goes over to touch the head of Sant Ram, but Gursikh Pyareo, Guru Sahib ne udo hi mare hoye di bhi laaj rakh li. Guru Sahib still preserves the honor of his Sikhs, and his head rises from that plate and her hand goes empty. And a tear comes in her eye. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji writes this themselves. They say even when he's after being dead, he doesn't go against his dharam. He doesn't let another woman touch his face. Sava glist sir utheo. Said his head rise from the plate. And tear comes into her eyes. She says, this is why I wanted to marry you. She said, such a man that you keep to your faith even after being dead. Gursikh Pyareo, let us wake up. Ek ghadi na milte ta kaljug hota. If you take your mind away from the Guru for one moment, you start to walk towards the house of a prostitute. But if you keep focused on the Guru every moment, then even after being dead, the Guru will preserve your honor. Gursikh Pyareo, itniyan behentiyan parwan karniyan. Ek nahi par aneka hi galtiyan ho giyan han. I must have made many mistakes whilst talking, Gursikh Pyareo. Jarur sare ne back karke kirtan vich jodna. So khair, aao bulao fateh. Vahe Guru Ji ka khalsa, Vahe Guru Ji ki fateh.
Vahe Guru Vahe